New Gallup poll out on the issue of physician-assisted suicide, aka euthanasia. And let me show the chart here. So what you see is that 69% of Americans support physician-assisted suicide. And meanwhile, how many states have actually legalized it? 4. Only Washington, Oregon, Montana, and Vermont. So over the years, it's become more and more popular. You know, back in the 1950s, 1960s. I mean, it steadily was climbing the entire time. But when you go back to the 1950s, early 1950s, very few people, what is that, 36% of people weren't in favor of it. Now, again, we're looking at 69% of people in favor of it. And here's another interesting thing. Around 1996, 75% of people were in favor of physician-assisted suicide. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's about when the Dr. Kevorkian thing was going on in the news, and that was a big story. For those of you who don't know about that, I don't know all the details of it. It was a really long time ago, but I'm pretty sure it was a doctor who was doing these physician-assisted suicides, and he was helping people kill themselves if they wanted to kill themselves and letting them go peacefully. And I don't know exactly how they did it. Probably a lethal dose of morphine or something like that, where they just drift off into oblivion, right? But that might be an indication right there that when you actually focus on this conversation and on this debate, the overwhelming majority of the American people go, really, are we having this discussion? Are we having this debate? Of course, somebody should be able to die peacefully if they're terminally ill and if they're in a lot of pain and if they're of sound mind to make the decision and yada, yada, yada. So again, this is another example, man. It really pisses me off about the United States of America, how we could have an overwhelming majority of people support something, but the policies don't fall in line with it. Only 4 states have legalized euthanasia, but 69% of the people say, yes, we would like to have euthanasia. God, it drives me crazy. Same thing, universal background checks with gun sales. 91% of us are in favor of it. We don't have it. 40% of the gun sales in America have no background check associated with it whatsoever. 80% want a higher minimum wage. We haven't gotten it yet. So what we're seeing here, and Joe Rogan has a good theory about this. He calls it we're working off of momentum. And I like the way he looks at it. He says we're operating out of momentum. It's his momentum theory that we're coasting off of the opinions and the feelings of generations prior. Like, yeah, in the 1700s and the 1800s, maybe people were like, oh, you should not ever be allowed to kill yourself peacefully with a doctor, even if you're in an incredible amount of pain because life or whatever, some stupid religious reason or something like that. But why today are we abiding by the same stupid-ass opinions of people who didn't know anything about science and people who were focused on dogmatic holy books 24/7. Unfortunately, we still have a lot of that going on today, but at least we're blowing it off in terms of the majority public opinion, where 69% of us say, no, yes, let's allow people to die peacefully. So we're operating off of momentum, and we need to stop with this bullshit. And I'll also throw out there that what you could see from the chart, again, is that it kind of correlates with the decline of religion. So, and in fact, the next chart proves that also, that people who attend church weekly are less likely to be in favor of euthanasia. 48% of people who attend church weekly are in favor of euthanasia. By the way, that's still higher than you would think, right? Almost 50% of people who go to church say, yeah, I'm still in favor of euthanasia. People who go to church nearly weekly or monthly, 74% of them are in favor of euthanasia, so that number ticks up the less you go to church. And then people who go to church pretty much not at all, 82% of them say, yeah, we're in favor of euthanasia. So again, there's a correlation between having more common sense and not going to church. But the final thing we'll throw out there is, this is my favorite chart. When you ask people, should doctors be allowed to end the patient's life by some painless means? So that's a quote, end the patient's life by some painless means. 69% of people support it when you frame it that way. But when you frame it this way, quote, assist the patient to commit suicide, the number drops to 58% of people that support it. So framing is everything. It's an 11-point difference just based off of how you frame the question when it's the same topic, So that's telling. But still, overall, as you can see here, even when you frame it in a way as if to be detrimental to the idea of physician-assisted suicide, people still go, yeah, I'm in favor of it. 58% of them say, yeah, I'm in favor of it. So to me, this is a no-brainer. If you have, some sort of terminal illness, or even if you just have incredibly severe depression, look, I might even go as far, I'm not sure yet, I'd have to think about it more and hear out different arguments, but I might even be on the side of, even if you aren't, don't have some sort of terminal illness, it should be your decision. I mean, people should probably try to stop you for a while, and, you should exhaust every option, medication, therapy, whatever. But in the end, you should be able to make the call with your own body, with your own life. I mean, the right to die, that falls directly in line with the idea of freedom and choosing your own destiny. And this is just another example of politicians going out there and paying lip service to the buzzword and the idea of freedom, but when it comes to actually legislating it, they're nowhere to be found.